Hello everyone and welcome to another instalment from Reengineering the Chess Classics. I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler and we are going to take a look at Game 9 of the Schlechter-Lasker World Championship match in Vienna and Berlin 1910. Now in Reengineering the Chess Classics we looked at the fabulous Game 7, found a lot of interesting new points. Game 9 was also very interesting indeed. Schlechter was leading by 1 point, had white, and instead of playing quietly, Schlechter played pretty aggressively, and it was a pretty wild game. Let's have a look how it went. So it was e4, pardon me, c5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, takes, knight f6, knight c3, and now e5. So already in 1910, Lasker trying, what's now become known as the Sveshnikov. Would have been really interesting to know what was Lasker intending against knight db5. Would he have played d6? That would have been absolutely fascinating to know. As it was, Schlechter played the calmer knight b3, after which black has got absolutely no problems. I mean, that's one of the beauties of the Sveshnikov on move 5. If white doesn't take up the challenge, then, white can even end up a little bit worse quite quickly. Lasker played bishop b4, pinning the knight, threatening knight e4, bishop d3, and now d5. And, as always in the Sicilian, if black gets this d5 break-in for pretty much free, he's doing pretty well. E takes d5, knight takes d5, bishop d2, and now black can decide exactly how he wants to do this. Actually, Lasker plays the absolute engine-approved way. The engines don't want to consider anything else. Take with a knight on c3, b takes c3, and the bishop retreats to d6. So, I mean, basically, you've given white double pawns on the c-file, and you haven't even had to give up the bishop pair for it. So, in principle, black can be pretty happy with the opening. The only thing that that white's got a little bit of time. Simply, it's his move. Black hasn't castled yet. White also not. But Schlechter uses this to play the move queen h5, just stopping Lasker from castling kingside. I mean, now I suppose. I mean, Lasker is pretty ambitious, I think, with what he does now. It's not bad or anything at all, but it's in some ways you would say that this move somehow it feels like a very simple way to play. Really, g6, queen h6, and we go bishop back to f8, queen to e3, and bishop g7, and then we're just going to aim to castle kingside, and we're pretty well organised. Could well be that that Lasker didn't quite fancy something like queen c5, and then if black manages to exchange off the queens, the knight comes to c5. You might get some pressure against the queen side. I don't think it's really that much, to be honest, but I think he was probably looking to keep things sharper. I mean, he was a point down in the match after all. The final game of this short match was coming up, game 10, where he would be white. I mean, he really wanted to do something with black as well. Had his chances in the match earlier, but hadn't quite been able to take them. So queen c7 was played, castles, and now bishop e6. So Lasker kind of just delaying any sort of decision. Almost kind of hinting at castling queen side as well. Would not be stupid, by the way, because white does have the open b file, but white's queen is in the way, so we're going to get some tempi. Be able to advance. Maybe getting g6, f5, quick e4. There would be chances for black to get a pretty quick initiative. So, Schlechter took that threat seriously and played the move bishop g5. Stopping the black king from castling queenside. So, Lasker has to come up with something. It isn't the engine's favourite move. They think the bishop's just a bit exposed there. They just want to play rook e1, castle queenside, rook b1. But king b8, queen h4, f5. Pretty sharp. Not clear though. I mean, the queen's coming to a4, got bishop b5 in. Very interesting game. Probably actually just what Lasker was aiming for. After bishop g5, Lasker played the move h6. So just putting the question to that bishop. It's just, it's just a tension point in the position. Maybe black at some stage might... Well, castle kingside seems a bit dodgy with all this pointing, but might move the king away, or might do something else that releases the pin on this rook on h8, and then the bishop will be hanging. And Schlechter kept on going. Again, the engines want something calmer, like, for example, rook fe1. And this is actually what they suggest for black, which is quite interesting. The idea being bishop e3, king f7. So just playing out that way, you basically gain the tempo against the white pieces, gain some space, and then bring the king to the king side. Of course, if you put the king on g7, it's all pretty reasonable, it feels just a little bit, for black, I'm just a little bit, is this all right? It feels sort of loose and weak squares, but I don't know. White's only playing with the pieces, and there's if it holds for black, then black's going to have a very nice position, really, because good pawn structure and good space expansion already. I think the engines were tending to think that black was definitely for choice in that position. But Schlechter played f4, very natural human move, absolutely. But the engines, again, not too happy about it. E takes f4, kind of necessary. You don't want to allow white to play f5 and f6 there. So e takes f4, rook e1, and the threat of rook takes e6 is in the air now. So some threats being generated. Obviously, castle kingside, bishop h6 would also be pretty scary for black. So it's there's definite threats there. But Lasker plays an excellent move. It's not the only one, but I do think it's the nicest one. Just king d7, very concrete move. Just moving the king off the back rank, avoiding this rook takes e6, and actually also threatening h takes g5. So all the threats are coming together there. Now the engines just want to play bishop h4 with the idea of actually playing knight c5 check and trying to get the bishop pair somehow. You can play g5, bishop f2, rook a d8, or you can play rook a8, knight c5, and king c8. In both cases, probably white should be able to get enough counterplay to hold. But I think, again, I'd definitely say black is for choice here. Certainly in a human game, I think you'd say, well, I can see these kingside pawns moving down. Some bishop coming into a strong point. I don't know. I mean, feels really like white's a little bit on the edge. But Schlechter came up with a stunning move that I think Lasker had probably overlooked, just judging from his annotations. Not 100% sure. Certainly was a shocker. It was given 2 exclamation marks, so that's why I'm sort of thinking that it came as a big shock. Bishop f5. Great move. Just threatening queen takes f7 check here. Really exploiting the the whole slightly discoordinated impression that the black pieces give. And if bishop f5, then queen takes f7 check. However, black did have a line that was actually pointed out by Lasker, although he seemed to, I think he simply I think his comments, he's just claiming a slight advantage for black, but I think his comments reflect more maybe disappointment in himself, and trying to minimize the idea that he missed something bad there, because I don't think his evaluation makes that much sense, because black could actually play the move queen b6 check. And what's the value of this move, queen b6? Well, the value is that after g6, bishop takes e6, we can actually, we've got the c7 square free for the king, and f takes e6 was given by Lasker. I mean, that also looks good for black, but king c7 is the engine move. What have we got? We've just got like a large number of pieces hanging here. So actually, the engines were looking at rook takes f4, believe it or not, g takes f5, rook f7, king b8, bishop b3, queen b5, bishop f2, and they were claiming some sort of compensation here, but obviously not enough. I mean, black is just actually winning. And on top of that, if we just have a look at Lasker's move, f takes e6, queen g6, hg5, queen e6, king c7, queen f7. This is all Lasker's analysis. King b8, and now Lasker gives the move knight d4, with saying with the idea of rook b1, with a slight advantage to black. But the engines just don't believe it. They just want to go, well, there's various things. I mean, a6 is one idea, rook b1, takes, knight e6, king b8, and, well, basically black's just a piece up here. I mean, you can play some slightly, awkward moves, but it's all sort of coverable, basically, and if it's coverable, you're just a piece up. The other idea that the engines like was knight d4. I mean, white plays rook e8 and gets the rook, but black's just got two excellent pieces for the rook and not very good pawn. The knight's coming into e3, pawns are hanging all over the place. It's a really good position for black here. So, yeah, I mean, this was really quite a crucial moment. Actually, Lasker really could have won it right there and then, I think. I mean, he played the safe move. He played rook af8. Well, this is fine for black, absolutely no problem. But Schlechter found a very nice idea. Bishop f4, knight c5 check, king c8, and then takes, and knight takes e6. So there's no real way to defend everything here. So Lasker chose to play bishop takes h2 in this position, just giving back the material, check, and then queen d7. And I mean, this is an interesting position. I mean, black is a little bit for choice. It is, the engines think it's dead equal. The black's, of course, for choice because, white's got split pawns, 3 pawn islands. Black's got possibility to create a pass pawn on the king side, and of course those weak queen side pawns to defend. I'm not going to go through the ending in massive detail. We'll play fairly quickly through the moves, but actually Lasker actually managed to make something of this. So queen h3, king b8. Knight e6, king a8, knight d4. And it's not really that Schlechter did anything too bad. It's just that, in principle, it's very hard to think of, what is white supposed to be doing in this position, apart from just playing reasonable moves and not trying to give too much away. It just turns out that that's quite difficult, especially against someone like Lasker, who really was a good technician. I mean, I think by any standards, he was really an excellent endgame player and grinder. So king b8, knight d4, rook f7 check, rook c7. Yeah, I mean, Schlechter not keen on going for any sort of rook ending. Simply, I think, because the pawns are quite vulnerable whilst the king is over on the king side. So I think you'd really sort of kind of want to have the king a little bit closer before you do anything, and that's actually what he's doing in this position. Actually, not very much seems to be happening really. Actually, both sides are just bringing their kings into play. So white towards the centre, and also black towards the centre. And then once black has got the king in the centre, there should be some possibilities to start getting a bit more active with the rook and knight. Rook f3, king d7, rook d3. Schlechter obviously, not exactly sure which ending he should play. Should he be playing for a knight ending or a rook ending? Yeah, not very clear. So in the end, he just ends up sort of waiting there. Lasker's quite happy to offer either, or maybe he sees that Schlecter's not too sure about it, and he starts grabbing some space. Starts moving pieces forward. I would have thought, to be honest, that the rook ending would also be all right for black. I mean, the white rook can get pretty active. The knight ending, I've got to be careful. I mean, the knight ending, you've got the possibility to create a pass pawn on the king side, and in general, those sort of positions where you can create pass pawns, they can get quite awkward for a knight. So I'd definitely be very tempted by the rook ending if I was playing this. And the knight ending somewhat less. I'll have to test out those conclusions with the engine sometime just to find out. It's, I haven't given it a huge amount of thought, but that's what I'm thinking. So maybe nice to see what my intuition is like for those things. Not necessarily the best, I would have thought. So knight f3 and now king b5. So Lasker's trying to come in with his king. I mean, if he's, it's closer. I mean, if he starts getting in there, then it's actually, he's just winning some pawns. So Schlechter keeps him at bay. Knight b5, knight b3 check. I mean, what is the engine thinking about it? The engine's regularly suggesting slightly different moves. So I think, we can assume is what the White's making what the TCC chatters call micro blunders. But the question is, how serious is this? This was Schlechter's sealed move. And, after Lasker's rook c4, you can definitely see that Lasker has made a fair amount of progress here. Imperceptible, actually. Again, I'd need to spend quite a bit of time trying to work out exactly, what was the key moment there, because it's kind of like magic. But I mean, getting the rook onto the fourth, it's the same technique that Lasker used against Marshall in their World Championship match. There's a very famous game of Lasker's where he sort of uses a rook swinging on both sides along a rank there to both attack and defend. And from g4, for example, a rook will attack the pawn on g3 and defend g7. It can also move to a4 to attack a2. And this is about perfect, really. I mean, this is a very strong move. So rook d7, rook g4, and now Schlechter decided to go for it. He went for it with c4. Seems like a good moment because the knight can come back to d6. But Lasker was clever. He played this intermezzo king c6, which gives the knight room on d6. And actually, already the engines are saying that White's in quite a bit of trouble here. It's just going to be very hard to hold everything. And actually, both Dragon and Stockfish are winning the position from here. So, I mean, it could well be that this adjourned position had already turned into a win. I mean, quite amazing somehow. It's I think you can really say that Lasker was the Magnus Carlsen of his time, and I mean, his technique was really excellent. I mean, I think even by modern standards, the things that he did from a technical point of view were really, really excellent. So rook d3 was played. The engines prefer rook e7, trying to keep the rook active. But I mean, this pawn is hanging as well. So rook d3, knight d6, knight d4 check. And actually, here Lasker points out what he missed. I'm not quite sure. Maybe just got a little bit confused because it's a strange move, the one that he played. Black should just sidestep with king b6, threatening knight takes c4. And the big problem is that after king c3, we've got this move rook g3. And knight e4 check will force both king and rook there. I mean, we could also go knight e4 check as well. But I mean, that's the huge problem. And I mean, what are you going to do? Well, c5 check there, knight b3 check, king c6, knight d4, and then you just come to b6, and there we are. You've won a pawn, and it's I mean, the position was good already before with the pawn up. Of course, it should actually be winning. So I mean, it was not difficult, and indicated by Lasker after the game. I don't know what he missed, but he played king c7, maybe thinking that it was going to be winning anyway, and he just ended up with this problem. I think what he probably missed in this position was that there was something like knight takes g7, and the key problem is that of course if you go rook g7, then I go c5 and just easily win back my piece. So knight g7, of course this is not going to be good anymore. Knight h5, rook c4, rook e3 check, check, and they agreed a draw there. So that was, again, it was a draw, and I think people have tended to look at, this match. It was +1, -1 = 8, and assume that, Schlechter was just very drawish. But I think anything but. The game 7, I said, take a look at Reengineering the Chess Classics. It's a quite astounding game, really amazing. And this game as well, very sharp. I mean, both players needing, Schlechter needing a draw as white, playing super sharply. culminating in this very nice tactical shot, but actually, not quite working. And Lasker could have won, but then, they reached some sort of equalish endgame, well, it's not really an endgame yet, sort of middle game heading to endgame. And again, Lasker does an incredible job. Very hard to see where white went wrong. The only thing you can say about the position is that, if your pawns were in good shape on the queen side, you'd have the plan of creating a queen side pass pawn, but when your pawns are so wrecked, you've got enough activity. It's not that that the opponent can do anything immediately, but the danger that you just run out of steam and that you just get pushed back and back is very high. Against a superb technician like Lasker, that risk is doubly high. And Schlechter was definitely a good defender. I mean, he was a tough guy. He didn't just give up or anything. Never did. But even he, is just getting ground down. And I don't know. I mean, I would have been tempted to go for a rook ending somehow, just because of the drawing tendencies of rook ending, and the fact really that your rook is pretty active, and you can sort of see all sorts of active possibilities for it. But I mean, I'll have to test that out somehow. As I said, knight ending, I'm less sure about. But it just all changes around. Just at the time control. It sort of changes around, and after this sealed move, I mean, the chances that black is actually winning this are pretty high in actual fact. It's I will just say actually that I think that if there was a mistake, actually a clear mistake that tipped the balance, it was probably Schlechter's knight b3 check in this position, which sort of gave black this opportunity rather, to really get a sort of optimum setup for the pieces. Get this rook over to g4. The engine is wanting the move knight e4 check in this position. King b6, rook b4, rook e7, king d3, and we're going to chase away the knight with a4, and we're keeping the black pieces pushed back somehow. And this definitely looks a lot better than what Schlechter did. So I imagine that was the actual key mistake. But I'll probably have a look at it a little bit later sometime, and maybe do another video on the ending, because it was pretty impressive from Lasker up until that little blunder at the end. So there we are. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you're enjoying this series on the great Carl Schlechter. If you like it, why not give a like, subscribe to the channel, take a look at Reengineering the Chess Classics. Really a fantastic book, and really still so proud of it. So I think anyone who likes this channel would really love the book. And otherwise, thanks very much for watching, and hope to see you at the next video. Thanks for watching.